Greetings, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of Marketing the Invisible. I'm Tom Poland, and joined today by Tony Hughes. Tony, very warm welcome, sir. Where are you hanging out?
Thanks, Tom. I am so excited about the conversation today. I'm based in Sydney.
I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I'm just a bit further north, a couple of hours flight, folks. We're both in Australia, East Coast. And for those of you who don't know Tony, he's very, very well known generally in sales circles. He's got 35 years of corporate and sales leadership experience. You must have started when you were, what, 10 or something? But he's personally generated many record-breaking sales results as a salesperson. He's been the head of sales. He's been, for many companies, he's been the CEO leading Asia Pacific region for many multinationals. He's a best-selling author, he's a consultant, he's a trainer. He's a keynote speaker. He knows a thing or two about converting leads into sales. So that's a bit of a clue as to what the subject matter is going to be about today, folks. Tony, our title today is The Future of Revenue for Business Owners, and our 7 minutes is going to start now. Question number one, sir, who is your ideal client?
So my ideal customer profile is a technology or professional services company.
Perfect. And tell us about the problem you solve for them.
The number one problem that all business leaders tell me that they have lots, but the number one problem is a lack of consistent opportunity pipeline. The secondary problem is progression and closure of those opportunities. And then the third problem is retention and growth with existing clients. And I help them in all three of those areas.
Wow, very well articulated. So you essentially you're unplugging one bottleneck after the other by the sound of it.
Yes, and creating consistent, healthy, quality opportunity pipeline tends to be a cure of all ills for other things going on inside the business. Any business that doesn't have enough consistent opportunity pipeline ends up trying to do unnatural acts in pulling forward business and actually pressuring customers. So we need to fix, every piece of our sales and marketing machine,
right.
but that's really the most important thing.
Okay, thank you for that. So tell us, question number three, just under 6 minutes left, so we're doing well for time. What would you say are some of the typical symptoms of individuals and organizations that are experiencing a need for your services?
Well, if the sales leader or the CEO feels like they're aging a whole year of their life at the end of every quarter, then they probably have the problem. So not enough salespeople, on target year to date, a lack of forecast accuracy, a lack of adequate pipeline coverage. Every business will be different, but typically in the tech sector, businesses are looking for 3.5 to 4 times pipeline coverage to de-risk actually hitting the number. Most businesses are operating with typically about half of that, and that's the root cause of a lot of stress in the business.
Wow, and that would be stressful. So look, we're talking about growth-oriented companies here that focus on sales, on customer acquisition and so on. So they're going to be trying things. So what would you say, question 4 is, what would you say are some of the common mistakes that your successful clients tried before they found your solution? 4.5 minutes left.
Well, some common mistakes people make as leaders is they try and manage the result instead of managing the right effective activity that feeds into the objectives that create the result. So, sometimes you can pull a lever of more revenue, but not much. And you don't get to pull it very often before you burn the people that you're pulling the lever with. We've all heard, for example, of software vendors that'll go into a licensing audit to try and generate some revenue at the end of the quarter. Well, that does massive damage in their relationship with the customer. They don't get to go and repeat that typically. So manage the activities that feed into the objectives that create the result is really important. And the other thing is have clarity about your ideal customer profile, then understand the buyer personas to whom you sell, and nail your narrative. Create a customer-centric narrative where you have a point of view for how they can drive improved results in their role. That's the key to driving effective engagement and creating pipe.
I mean, this is, it's a great danger, folks. If you listen to this, you think, yeah, I've heard this before. You might think, well, it's common sense, but it's not commonplace, is it, Tony? It's extraordinary how many large and reasonably successful organizations have forgotten these critical points that you're making. So worth playing that one back again. Tony, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, well, Tom, one of the big mistakes or traps that sellers and businesses fall into is that they're what I describe as good enough to fail. They're good enough at creating interest, but they're not good enough at creating intent. So it's one thing for the customer to become interested in what it is that we offer. It's a very different thing for them to decide we need to change the way we operate. Create a real intent to change state, to change the way they're running their business. And that's why we need to lead with the commercial value of change. We need to speak to both head and heart, both emotion and logic. But what's the improved result? What's the brighter future for the client in changing the way they operate? Unless we anchor our opportunity to that, it'll just drift away on us.
Sounds like a very specific, tangible, measurable benefit for engagement. So let's go to question 5, just 2.25 minutes left. A valuable free, like a top tip you could give people. It won't solve the whole problem for them, but it might start them off in the right direction.
Most people lead with, this is who we are and this is what we offer and how it all works.
Right.
That is the wrong thing to talk about. That only appeals at best to 3% of the market, the people that are looking for what we do. 40% of the market have a level of dissatisfaction and frustration with current state. So we need to instead lead with their opportunity to drive an improved result. And when they ask for more information, we talk about the strategy that achieves the result, not about our capabilities. So we lead with result, strategy, and then capability. Reverse the order.
Very interesting. And most people are starting the opposite way around before they've established an interest. Thank you for that. 1.5 minutes left. Valuable free resource. That's question number 6. Where can people go to find out more about what you do and more about this subject matter?
So if you go to tonyhughes.com.au, I've got webinar and podcast tabs. There's details about my books are there as well, but there's lots of free content in the form of podcasts. If you also go to salesiqglobal.com, we've got e-learning content, and again, lots of other fantastic content around these concepts there as well.
Fabulous. And not just about transforming your own results, folks, but there's information there on transforming your sales team. 46 seconds left, sir. What's the one question I should have asked you but didn't? And the answer, please.
What's causing most people to fail? And the reality is most people are really busy doing enough not to feel guilty, rather than getting busy doing what it actually takes to be successful. So if you're a leader of a business, really think about, I need clarity about my ideal customer profile so I focus in the right areas. I need to understand the people to whom I sell. I need to nail my narrative, my message, and then I need to execute the right levels of activity to break through.
Perfect. Tony Hughes, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. Folks, this one is worth replaying and taking notes. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for checking out our Marketing the Invisible podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to generate 5 fresh leads in just 5 hours, then check out www.5hourchallenge.com.